Hi everyone, this is Anto Chávez with Latina. Today we're going to be talking to Natalie Boden, who is the founder and president of BODEN. So this will be really exciting. She just got inducted to the PRWeek Hall of Fame or Hall of Femme. So this will be really exciting to watch and just have a conversation with her about her career and of course the communications industry. So let's get started. Request to join and we'll be all set. Hey Natalie, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So sorry for those connection problems.
Don't worry. Sign of the times.
Yeah. How are you doing? Where are you in the world?
Good. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
I love your earrings.
Thank you. So let's jump right in. I would love to have you introduce yourself and just tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, hey, thanks a ton for having me today. Really proud to be here. Hola a todas que están conectadas. Listen, a little bit about me. I'm the founder of BODEN. We're a PR agency based out of Miami. Our mission really is to enrich the lives of the Latino community. It's always been our mission since I first started the agency. And well, there you have it. If not, I'll take over too much of our time talking if I go through all my history.
Of course, yeah, I'm sure. But let's delve a little bit more into your background. So
Sure.
how is your journey in the midst of, especially right now in the pandemic, but before that, in order to get to the PRWeek Hall of Fame, how did that happen? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, listen, one of the most important things in terms of my background, I was born and raised in Honduras, very strong female examples in my life. My grandmother, Tita, she doesn't like to be called abuela. No le vayan a decir, no le vayan a decir abuela. She is, she made her own business, a single mom. My mom and dad are entrepreneurs, started from scratch, and I grew up working with them. I was always working ever since I was 7 years old. I remember having a little lemonade stand outside my mom and dad's house, and I'd actually get upset with people when they wouldn't buy my lemonade.
I love that.
Always been working. And through college, it's taken a lot of hard work. And honestly, though, always believing that, if anyone told me I couldn't do something, I wouldn't pay any attention. I saw a T-shirt the other day. I loved it. De hija de tu madre. Okay, I love all those T-shirts. It said, "Yo hago lo que me da la gana." That's like my grandmother, my mother, and me.
That's awesome. And I'm sure throughout this journey and throughout all of this confidence, there were also some things that you might have not loved about the communications industry. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, listen, it's across all industries. I think one of the things I would have not liked to hear as much is, hey, you can't do this because you're a woman, or you can't do this because you're Latina, or how surprising that you run your own agency. How do you do that? Well, it's also being a mother. Like, well, guys, don't go and ask that question at all. So I think that's one of the things that I wish I hadn't encountered. And as I see the way we're run and what we do at BODEN, I mean, anyone that comes through my door and says I can't do something, I'd say absolutely yes, you can. There was once, I'll never forget, there's a Nicaraguan that was working at BODEN, and she walked through the door and she said, "Nat, I didn't know a Central American," maybe she had seen maybe Mexicans or maybe Argentinian, but she was from Nicaragua. We're small countries in Central America. And she said, "I didn't know a Central American could have their own business and just compete against the big guys." And I said, "Absolutely we can, and so can you." So I think today, I hope that doesn't exist as much out there, and I feel it doesn't, and I feel it's getting better. But in my 20s, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I think it is getting better, but it's also about having those moments where you have to just push yourself, because the industry, like you said, it's across all industries. So I would love to ask you, how were you able to maneuver through this and other challenging situations?
How I had to maneuver through what? I lost you there for a second.
Oh, so sorry. How were you able to maneuver through challenging situations? What was giving you
Just
that push that, made
that
you get where you are right now?
it's there are a lot of we're going to face tough situations every single day. I say number one, you have to have a support system around you. It can be one person, it can be two, it can be your whole family that just supports you. There are days that every day, Anto, every day I have a doubt. Every single day. There's not a day. I think you see people in magazines and on television, and you say, wow, they got, excuse my French, ladies don't say bad words, but they got their shit together. No, they don't. Nobody does. Nobody does. You need people around you that are going to support you all the time. I read an article the other day, and it said, find your Marty Ginsburg, right? A beautiful story of what the article said was marriage of equals, right? Find your Marty Ginsburg, your partner, your best friend, your anyone that's going to believe in you. Because I tell you, had I not had my husband, my Marty Ginsburg, and my parents and my abuela, I don't know how I would have gotten to where I am today. No way did I do it on my own.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That article right there, I think it explains it all. You need people who are supporting you, and more than, you can't always just give yourself that push. You need people around you, and just people, like-minded people as well. Like you said, you are being one of those women who are telling others you can do it. So I think that's really, really important right now. Now I would love to know, how were you able to cultivate such an intentional and purposeful path in the communications industry? Because it's not, you really had in mind what exactly you wanted to do, and you accomplished it.
Yeah, listen, the Latino community here in the US, we're the fabric of this nation. And when I came here in my 20s, I was fascinated with the fact that you could walk around Miami or walk around parts of LA or walk around parts of Chicago and just speak Spanish. By how beautiful the music scene was, how all our cultural traditions from Latin America were just alive and well in the entire US fabric. And I said, well, I am going to form an agency that helps brands reach that segment, support that segment, and not only drive business from that segment, but invest in that segment. I always say it's not about marketing to Latinos, it's about investing in Latinos. And that's always been our mission. And we haven't wavered.
Yeah. And so throughout that path, were there any mentors, whether it was academic or professional, that really, helped you get where you are? People who believed in you, people who just gave you, again, that push?
My mentors, I'll tell you who they are. My abuela, I tell you, I call her to this day. I'll say, abuela, we're going after this. And I'll mention the brand, Fortune 500 company. What do you think? She gives me advice. Wow. Really. I will say, abuela, we're having issues, or I'm having issues with work-life balance or anything. She gives me advice. My mom and my dad, also, the rules of entrepreneurship will be the same no matter what business you own. And my husband, it's someone that I've told you that I lean on a lot for support. Mentors in the workplace, I tell you something, there were few and far between, because in those days it was, and I'm talking about the 90s. It sounds like I'm like I'm antique, but there weren't.
But a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
Many women in leadership positions. So at that time, I said, okay, if I can't climb the ladder, I'll build a ladder. And in my case, really, it's my family and my husband.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that phrase. If I can't climb the ladder, I'll be the ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was your family always supportive? I can see that they were supportive of of your life in general. They were supportive of your decisions, but were they always supportive of this career path you chose? You know, were they ever like, you should do something else? This is too risky, especially in those times in the 90s.
Never, never, never. They listen, in terms of my university career, I switched and changed majors so many times that I think they were pretty stressed out, right? So every time I switched, they just support me. Anton, at one point I wanted to be a doctor. I remember my mom, Nat, de verdad, doctor? And I said, no, I'm going to be a doctor. And she supported me. I said, I want to go and learn a language. I want to go and live in Paris. I was 17 at the time. She supported me. I want to start my own business. They supported me. They've always supported me in everything that I wanted to do. Yes, they have given advice and said, are you sure about this? Or what about that? And, you know, and sometimes they'll say, hey, how are the kids doing? Knowing if I'm like traveling all over the place. Those sort of things will happen from time to time. But nothing that they ever said, Nat, you can't do it. It's always not, you can do anything you want.
Yeah. And I think those comments are good because they're just trying to keep you in check, trying to hold you accountable. You know, are you sure this is what you want to do? It's only guidance at that point. Yeah. It's not, yeah, but there was always support, which I think is beautiful. And
listen, quick story, when I started the agency and we were working with smaller clients, my tita would call me and say, why don't you work for like McDonald's? Yo, tita, esa es una marca grande, it's a big brand, and we're a smaller agency. And she's like, so? And now we work for McDonald's. Wow. And she'd call me, so we'd get McDonald's, I'd say, and next thing you know, she'd call me and say, ¿y por qué no trabajan para Target? A mí me gusta marca Target. Yo, no, tita, Target es grande y nosotros somos chiquitos. And next thing you knew, we were working for Target. And just a couple of days ago, she said, ¿y por qué no trabajan para Coca-Cola? Why don't you work for Coke? So now I'm on a mission to get Coke. So
there you go. It
doesn't matter. She always has thought big.
Yeah. There you go. Where is she right now?
In Honduras.
Okay. That's amazing that even from Honduras, she's like giving you the direction of where you're going next. Like she's like, this is why don't you do this?
Yeah. Listen, you know, she calls me and she won't say like, how are the kids? Or how are you think of a typical maybe abuela, or sharing a recipe. By the way, no one in my family, none of the women cook. We're all terrible in the kitchen.
Breaking stereotypes.
No, terrible stereotype. The amount of people that have asked me, and then then how do your children eat? Yo digo, I'm not the only one that has to cook in the house. But anyway, she won't call me with anything like that. She will say, ¿qué tal va el negocio? How are profits doing? And that's the conversation that we have. And I think that's very atypical, which is why I'm committed to helping Latinas. I'm committed to helping young women believe in themselves, know they can do anything, because sometimes we don't have the right voices around us.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, for those Latinas, for those young Latinas who they may now have somebody like your tita and they're a little bit lost and they want to pursue a career in communications, what would be your advice? What's the first step to get there?
Listen, first, in terms of communications, know that it's an industry that you can use creativity and business at the same time. So you're using your creativity to forward business growth. I think that's really exciting. So you can be a businesswoman and a creative at the same time. Advice to get started, knock on doors. Like, is there a brand that you think you'd love to work with? If you've already graduated, knock on their doors. All I did was knock on doors. I didn't have the right internships. I didn't have the degree. I had an English Lit degree. I didn't have the right anything. So I just knocked on the doors, got my first internship, knocked on the door, got my first, and I literally knocked on the door. So, you know, I'm not talking about calling them, actually knocked on the door and walked in. In those days, it was a little bit easier. Got my first job, $18,000 a year. Got my second job, $29,000 a year, and so on and so forth. But you've got to work hard, and you've got to just, if you get a lot of no's, but just dale pa'lante, next one. I still have all the packets of my rejection letters. In those days, the company wouldn't email. They'd send a written rejection letter. I have them all. I got so many no's. So if you want to get into comms, look for the brands, look for the agencies you like, write to them, and just continue knocking.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing advice. I can't wait to see everything that you do next. And thank you so much for joining us, Natalie. I really, really appreciate your time.
You got it. Thanks a ton, and thanks to everyone who's watching.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
Las quiero. Bye.
Bye. Un abrazo.